So I believe there's always such time where consolidation happens, and because small caps, if you see the trailing 1 year return, they are down by almost over 10%.
Yeah.
But having said that, I believe it is rather a great time to invest in small cap and mid cap. If you own the weighted average earnings, that is the PAT growth of our companies was 32%. Compared to Nifty, which was around 1.5%, and Nifty 500 basket, which gave around 15%.
Welcome to Market Pillars Uncovered, an educational series where we bring you powerful insights from leaders shaping India's financial ecosystem. Today, we're joined by a young and dynamic leader, Mr. Ayush Agarwal, Chief Investment Officer at SMC Private Wealth and Director at SMC Group. Ayush brings with him a strong academic foundation, holding an MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. Known for his sharp ability to identify high growth as well as fundamentally strong companies, Ayush has played a key role in shaping SMC Private Wealth's investment strategies. In this episode, we'll explore key investment metrics, tips for first-time investors, navigating crises, assess India's economic outlook, and deep dive into the small cap opportunities. Ayush, welcome to Money TV.
Thank you so much, Karanya.
So first things first, without beating around the bush, I want to ask you about the markets which are near all-time highs. But why is there still some kind of a lag when it comes to our individual portfolios? Why are people's portfolios not performing or not doing what the mainline indices are doing?
You're absolutely right, and I think your viewers would understand that even better than us, because we are still professionals. We still are lagging a bit less than what their portfolios may be lagging to the index. So I believe there's always such time where consolidation happens, and because small caps, if you see the trailing 1 year return, they are down by almost over 10%.
Yeah.
So that is the main reason. If you are having higher portion of small cap and mid cap in your portfolios, your portfolio has to be down. I mean, it would be down if the large cap is less, and of course it is small cap and mid cap heavy. But having said that, I believe it is rather a great time to invest in small cap and mid cap. If you own, but I would say that you have to have 4 qualities in that portfolio of small cap and mid cap, because it's not about, if you ask me the basket, it is still overvalued, the small cap and mid cap. But there are many specific companies that are trading far below their intrinsic values, where growth is there, but valuation is very undervalued, and these are fundamentally great companies, and corporate governance is also good.
So they have not run up as much as the
Yes.
indices.
And so when we make our portfolios, so we see that the company should be fundamentally good, it should be undervalued, there should be growth, and of course, as I said, that corporate governance should be good. And growth not only for 1 or 2 quarters, but at least for 3 to 5 years. And those companies that have already proved that in last 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So if you're getting that combination, there's no better time than to invest today.
So I'm going to ask you what any retail investor would, who's watching this episode, is to fir kya le, because what are some 2 or 3 pockets in the market which are still offering good entry points even in this market?
You're right. So again, see, either you are a growth investor or value investor. So I would say first is the earnings. So earning has to be there, then valuation, then comes valuation. So if you are finding great companies, pockets, you can say like EMS has corrected recently from highs. And there are good companies which are definitely having great growth, and they would definitely trade at premiums. So there you skip the valuation part. Of course, it should not be euphoric, but if it is reasonably valuation is reasonable and you see great growth going ahead, then you should definitely invest in that space. But again, the 4 parameters that I told you in the starting, that have to be there if you are investing in such companies.
So you're not naming any sectors for our viewers?
Sectors I can tell, like EMS is one. Then of course data center is there. Though we have limited companies in Indian context, they are limited companies. Then I would say even IT, related to data center, but still there are IT companies that are definitely less P's but good growth. So mid-cap IT definitely has been beaten a bit in last, I would say 1 to 2 years. So there is scope. Then again, there are bottom-up opportunities. Yeah.
So you said that an investor is either a value investor or a growth investor. Where are you leaning as a investor and as somebody who's managing so many people's money? Which philosophy are you leaning towards, or do you think a blended approach works best in a market like this?
That's a great question, and I think Earlier we used to be value investors, where we thought that, you know, if we are getting a company at a low P, it should be good and it would make money. But you know, in last 5 years or 6 years, as my experience, personal experience has increased, so what I realized is that earning is paramount. So irrespective of the valuation, if you're not getting the right earnings, if the company is not growing, then there's a reason why it is at so low valuation. So earnings is important. So I would say growth at a reasonable price. GARP strategy is what I would use to make a portfolio.
Can you elaborate this point a little bit more? Let's say if you had to give a checklist to a retail investor today, what are the key metrics or qualitative factors, even not just quant, but qualitative factors as well, that they should follow before investing in any company?
Sure. So I think broadly, one should not invest in companies where the promoter pledge is more than 25%. That is one red flag that we avoid. Then, of course, debt equity ratio should be less than 1 if it's a non-financial company. Then return on equity, return on capital employed, these should be at least over 10. I would say 10%, more than 10%. Then, of course, if the company is trading at 30p, then I would want a growth of at least 25 to 40% CAGR for next 3 to 5 years. So these are, I think, basic parameters. These are the quantitative factors.
But this thumb rule works for across the board.
I won't say across the board, but I mean, in large cap, you won't find that because valuation is never there with the growth we are expecting. But you will find that in mid cap and small cap.
But how do you balance financial metrics, management quality, and industrial tailwinds, all of this together? What is that? How do you identify that sweet spot where everything seems to be working?
I think it is in these markets where the correction has happened and you get the value. Because what you are saying is right, it is very difficult and the thing that you don't get is value. So this is the time when there's a huge correction in the markets and specifically in small cap and mid cap where you are already getting the growth and now you're getting the value as well. So I believe, of course, it is tough. We have 28 companies in the PMS that we run and I would say, but at least 10 are there that they follow all the parameters. The checklist is ticked.
So what is the core proposition that you're offering to your clients? Because there's so many PMSs out there. So what is that one or two, perhaps 3 differentiators that sets you apart? Any milestones or any track record that you would like to share?
No, that's again a great question. So as I told you that we focus on the earnings. So even in Q2, the weighted average earnings, that is the PAT growth of our companies was 32%. Compared to Nifty, which was around 1.5%, and Nifty 500 basket, which gave around 15% Y-on-Y PAT growth. So that is where we differentiate. Even sales growth was 25%, weighted average sales growth of the companies that we have in the PMS. So I think that way the earnings, that is where we say, and even the PE, the price earning multiple of our portfolio is around 28 TTM. And when we estimated for FY27, it is 18. So you have growth, you have value, and also the return on equity of the portfolio is 20%. The return on capital employed of the portfolio is 15%. So you're getting the quality, you're getting the growth, you're getting the value. So
wow,
that is the combination.
That's again a good spot to be
in.
in.
And we have 30% large cap as well. So including that, we are getting all of this.
Wonderful. Okay. Just to go back to the retail investment perspective, now we've seen a continued influx of young investors entering the market, first-time investors, newbies, DIY, I mean, they're whatever you call it. What is that one piece of advice that you'd like to give to them? Because up until now, the people entering the market have probably only seen the COVID crisis. They haven't experienced the different cycles and the different other, extreme events in the market.
You are definitely right. So for any new investor, my advice would be take your time. I mean, definitely invest early, but where you have to invest, definitely follow a very disciplined approach. You have to be very careful if you are investing in small cap and mid cap companies. But take your own time. It may be 1 month, it may be 2 months, but take your time and invest in the right companies. Do not get into think that yes, the price has gone up, so I should invest in this. Have the 4 parameters that I told you: quality, price, valuation, growth, corporate governance. Look at these 4 parameters, then only invest. But having said that, you will do mistakes. With this, I would like to quote Mr. late Rakesh Junjunwalaji's quote that do a mistake that you can afford. Yeah.
I mean, that's the aim. But are there any mistakes that you've seen people repeatedly making in the retail segment?
Definitely, there are many such type of mistakes. One I would say is behavioral bias, where you tend to only read positive reports on a stock that you like. So you skip the negative reports, only follow the positive reports. So always be open to hear negative reports on the stocks where you feel you are right. So always have a counter view. Then I would say there's also romantic love that people have with the stocks. So you fall in the love with the stock and you ignore the earnings, even if it is going down. You think that it will recover, so you
can't
are
let
on hope.
go.
Exactly, you can't depend on hope. So you have to let go of a stock. And in fact, with that, I would also say that in case you are booking losses, so that's a great option to do, because once you book losses, you're having three good things in your portfolio. You're getting out of a bad company. You will get that money which you can invest in good companies.
We've discussed a fair bit about what to look for, but also let's understand the risk part of it. Because typically people want to understand what are the core or the key indicators of risk. Now, from personal experience, have you ever anticipated a risk and have been able to avert it and sort of either protect losses or cut your losses in that sense?
Yes,
If
yes.
any instance you could share with
Definitely,
us.
I can share two instances so that are coming into my mind right now. So one instance was that when we liked a company very much and it was a growing company, but the debt kept on increasing. The promoter said in every conference call that we'll reduce the debt, but then we hear a news that they're doing another capex. So the debt ultimately kept on increasing. So that is where we ultimately got out of the company, and there was in fact a promoter sell as well. So when you see those things, despite what the promoter is saying, but the actions are not, happening. So if there's no walk the talk, I would avoid that company. So that is one thing that we try to avoid, and we skipped out of that company where that happened. So we were invested in a movie company, which was a standalone company at that time, and we were in good profits. And because we watched global markets as well, so we saw that COVID was coming everywhere. And we were certain if it comes in India, then this is the one place where it would be worstly affected. So we got out of that. And of course, after that, COVID came in India and the stock plummeted by almost 50%.
Interesting. But any risk indicators that you want to flag generally, like for example, COVID and the other one are very specific, company specific, and they will typically company to company vary. But any big red flags or pitfalls that any investor should, completely avoid, complete no-go zones?
That's another good question. So let me share that, like if a company gets a rating downgrade, that is one thing that we would definitely avoid. So for any reason, irrespective of the growth, but if the rating has got downgraded, that is a one clear red flag that we would avoid investing in that company. Then of course, if the debt is increasing or promoter pledge is increasing, these are things that we would avoid.
And all this is public information. Typically, you can access it for any listed company on the exchanges, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it is like Screener is one thing that with a disclaimer that we use that for our companies as well. So this is one app which any retail investor can use it for free, and you get all the publicly listed data.
So they can read up before they make the decision to enter and or exit. But Ayush, you've been investing your own money and others' money for a long, long time. Tell us what guides your investment philosophy, personally and as work, both. I mean, any pivotal events in your life or any learnings, any instances that have really, really, shaped you or impacted you as an investor and leader?
So I think I was lucky to face COVID during my investing journey. And there it was my father who helped me. Mr. D.K. Agarwal. So he guided me that, because of course even I panicked at that time that why is my portfolio falling like 30-40% in such a short period. So he guided me that if you are invested in quality companies and you are there for long term, then there will be times every 5 years or 6 years that a portfolio or any stock will fall like that. So you don't have to worry. You would rather buy more if huge correction has happened in such stocks, and ultimately you become a better investor in those times and you observe the market. So I believe that was a blessing in disguise at that time. So that shaped my...
So patience is a virtue he has passed on to you.
Exactly. Patience, and I would say determination as well as temperament. Great temperament is very important in equity markets in my opinion.
Outside of the markets, what do you do in your spare time? Any interests or hobbies that you follow?
So in fact, me and my wife both play pickleball. So I'm very good with sports. So I like playing sports in my as in spare time. And I try to even switch off my phone, because if the phone is on, I will ultimately look at markets, what is the latest news, and I want to keep up with the market. So I try to switch off from there and do my leisure things. Yeah.
It was lovely chatting with you, Ayush. Thank you for sharing such, personal and relatable insights with our viewers and your learnings from the markets. It was great chatting.
Thank you so much, Karunya. Same here.